A quiet morning in Philadelphia, 1955. The sun barely pierces through the fog as neighbors notice something unusual: newspapers piling up outside the door of 68-year-old Dorothea Irwin's apartment. Little did they know, they were about to uncover one of Philadelphia's most baffling cold cases. One that would haunt investigators for decades to come. Hey true crime family, before we dive deeper into this chilling case, take a moment to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. The discovery made on February 2, 1955, would send shivers down the spines of even the most hardened detectives. Dorothea Irwin, a respected widow known for her precise routines and friendly demeanor, lay lifeless in her bedroom. But this wasn't just another tragic passing. This was the beginning of a mystery that would challenge everything investigators thought they knew about suburban crime. You might want to keep the lights on for this one, folks. The most unsettling part? Everything in her apartment appeared normal, almost too normal. Her bed was made with military precision. Her clothes were neatly arranged. Even her prized collection of antique silverware gleamed in its display case. But one detail stood out like a scream in a silent room. Her phone line had been cut. If you're already intrigued by this case, smash that like button. Every support helps us bring more of these forgotten stories to light. Let's rewind the clock and piece together the events that led to this haunting discovery. Dorothea wasn't just any elderly resident of Philadelphia. She was a woman of habit, a creature of routine. Her neighbors could set their watches by her daily walks to the local market. Her weekly bridge club meetings were sacred appointments that she never missed. Until that fateful week in February. The last person to see Dorothea alive was her mailman, Thomas Miller, on January 30th, 1955. He recalled something peculiar about their brief interaction. She seemed distracted, almost nervous. But what could have rattled this normally composed woman? Before we delve into the investigation, I need to warn you, this case takes some unexpected turns that even seasoned true crime enthusiasts might find surprising. The initial police report noted something that would later become crucial to the investigation. Dorothea's apartment showed no signs of forced entry. Yet, her purse was missing, along with several personal items that she never left home without. The scene painted a picture of someone who either knew their attacker or never saw them coming. Investigators started to piece together the puzzle of Dorothea Irwin's death. But what they discovered in the weeks following would leave them questioning everything they thought they knew about this case. Let's dive into the investigation that had all of Philadelphia on edge. Detective James Morrison, the lead investigator, noticed something peculiar about Dorothea's bedroom window: microscopic scratches on the lock. So fine they were almost invisible to the naked eye. Someone had carefully manipulated that lock, showing a level of sophistication that would become a signature detail of this case. But here's where things get really interesting, folks. You might want to double-check your own window locks after this one. The autopsy report, conducted by Dr. Harold Thompson, revealed something that sent shockwaves through the investigation team. Dorothea hadn't died from any obvious trauma. Instead, the cause of death was attributed to cardiac arrest, but with one bizarre detail. Trace amounts of a substance were found in her system that couldn't be identified with 1955's technology. If you're as shocked by this revelation as I am, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. It helps more people discover these fascinating cold cases that deserve attention. The investigation took an even darker turn when detectives began interviewing Dorothea's neighbors. 3 different residents reported seeing a well-dressed man in a dark overcoat visiting her apartment in the weeks before her death. The strange part? Each description was slightly different, leading investigators to believe there might have been multiple visitors, or one person who was exceptionally good at changing their appearance. But perhaps the most chilling evidence came from Dorothea's personal diary, found tucked away in her antique writing desk. The entries from January 1955 revealed something disturbing. She wrote about feeling watched, about shadows moving past her windows at night. Initially, she dismissed these as the paranoid thoughts of an elderly woman living alone. But one entry, dated January 28th, just days before her death, stands out. The phone calls have started again. Heavy breathing, then silence. When I ask who's there, they hang up. I've started taking my mother's silver to bed with me. Something isn't right. Hey true crime enthusiasts, this might be a good time to make sure you've clicked that notification bell. The details we're about to uncover get even more mysterious. The investigation revealed that Dorothea had reported these suspicious calls to the phone company twice in January. The technician who came to check her line found nothing unusual. Yet after her death, that same line was discovered cleanly cut. The tool marks suggested professional equipment was used. Detective Morrison's team made another startling discovery when they interviewed Dorothea's bank manager. In the month before her death, she had made several unusual withdrawals, all in small amounts, but totaling over $3,000, equivalent to approximately $30,000 today. The money was never found. Drop a comment below if you think these withdrawals might be connected to the mysterious visitors. Your insights could shed new light on this decades-old case. But here's where the case takes an even more bizarre turn. While investigating Dorothea's background, detectives discovered she had worked as a code clerk during World War I. She had access to sensitive military communications, a detail that would later spawn countless theories about potential espionage connections. The investigation also uncovered a series of letters in Dorothea's possession, dating back to 1943. They were written in what appeared to be a simple substitution cipher. When decoded, they contained seemingly mundane correspondence about garden clubs and bridge games. But was there more to these letters than met the eye? I know what you're thinking. This case has more layers than your grandmother's lasagna. If you're finding these revelations as fascinating as I do, take a moment to share this video with fellow true crime enthusiasts. These cold cases stay alive through our community's dedication to uncovering the truth. As winter turned to spring in 1955, investigators discovered something else. Dorothea wasn't the only elderly person in Philadelphia who had reported suspicious phone calls that year. 5 other residents, all living alone, all with similar backgrounds, had filed police reports about anonymous calls and strange visitors. The difference? They were still alive to tell their tales. One of these survivors, Eleanor Matthews, provided a crucial detail that would haunt investigators for years to come. She described receiving a small package 2 days after the mysterious calls began. Inside was a single playing card, the Queen of Hearts, with a date written on the back. February 2, 1955. The same day Dorothea Irwin was found dead. But before we delve into how these connections would reshape the entire investigation, let's talk about the strange series of events that occurred at Dorothea's church, St. Mark's Episcopal, in the months leading up to her death. The police interviews with church members revealed that Dorothea had been acting increasingly paranoid during Sunday services. She had switched pews 3 times in January alone, always choosing seats with a clear view of all entrances. The church secretary, Martha Wilson, recalled Dorothea asking unusual questions about who had access to the church records and membership lists. But perhaps the most puzzling detail came from the church groundskeeper, Samuel Hartford. He reported finding fresh cigarette butts by the church's side entrance every Monday morning in January, despite the fact that none of the regular parishioners were smokers. The brand? An expensive British import that had only recently become available in Philadelphia. Investigators discovered connections between Dorothea's death and a series of suspicious incidents across Philadelphia. But what they uncovered next would transform this from a local mystery into something far more sinister. In April 1955, 2 months after Dorothea's death, Detective Morrison received an unexpected visitor at the Philadelphia Police Department. A man identifying himself as Agent Richard Clerk from British intelligence requested access to the case files. Now, if that doesn't raise your eyebrows, wait until you hear what happened next. If you're already intrigued by this international twist, give this video a quick like. It helps our algorithm reach other true crime enthusiasts who appreciate these deep dives into forgotten cases. Clark revealed something stunning. Dorothea Irwin's work as a code clerk during World War I wasn't as simple as initially believed. She had been part of an elite group of cryptographers working on breaking German diplomatic codes. But here's the kicker. Some of those same codes had mysteriously resurfaced in international communications monitored in 1954. The British weren't the only ones interested. Within weeks of Clark's visit, the FBI opened their own file on the case. Document J, 7249, partially declassified in 1982, revealed that Dorothea had maintained connections with former intelligence colleagues well into the 1950s. But perhaps the most baffling development came when investigators re-examined the playing card left with Eleanor Matthews. Under ultraviolet light, they discovered a series of microscopic dots along the card's edges. When analyzed, these dots formed a pattern identical to a coding system used during World War I. Now, let's talk about the disappearance that would throw the entire investigation into chaos. Remember Martha Wilson, the church secretary who noticed Dorothea's unusual behavior? 3 months after providing her statement to police, she vanished. Hey, true crime family, this might be a good time to make sure you've hit that notification bell. The connections we're about to explore get even more mind-bending. Martha's apartment showed no signs of forced entry, just like Dorothea's. On her kitchen table, investigators found a half-finished cup of tea and, you guessed it, a playing card. This time, it was the Queen of Spades, with a different date written on the back. May 15, 1955. The teacup revealed something fascinating. Traces of the same unidentified substance found in Dorothea's system. But by 1955 standards, the compound remained a mystery. It wasn't until 2003 when cold case investigators re-examined the evidence using modern technology that they discovered its true nature, a sophisticated derivative of a rare South American plant toxin. One that could trigger cardiac events while leaving minimal traces. Drop your theories in the comments below. Do you think these international connections hold the key to solving this case? The investigation took another turn when agents discovered a pattern in Dorothea's bank withdrawals. The amounts, when arranged chronologically, matched a specific sequence of numbers used in wartime communications. Was she being blackmailed, or was she involved in something more complex? In June 1955, another piece of the puzzle emerged. A locksmith named Gerald Cooper came forward with an unusual story. He reported that in December 1954, a well-dressed woman had requested multiple copies of a skeleton key, claiming to be from a property management company. The address she provided? A vacant office building 3 blocks from Dorothea's apartment. When investigators searched the abandoned office, they found cigarette butts matching those discovered at the church. But more importantly, they uncovered a hidden room containing sophisticated radio equipment, the kind used for international communications. Just when you think this case couldn't get any more complex, right? If you're finding these revelations as fascinating as I do, please share this video with fellow true crime enthusiasts. These forgotten cases deserve to be remembered. The investigation also unveiled Dorothea's connection to Operation Paperclip, a classified program that brought German scientists to America after World War II. Her decoded letters, seemingly about garden clubs, contained hidden references to specific individuals involved in the program. But here's where the case takes its most bizarre turn. In August 1955, Philadelphia police received an anonymous package containing a leather-bound journal. The handwriting matched Dorothea's, but the entries stopped abruptly on January 25, 1955. The final entry read, "They've found it. After all these years, they know where I hid the ledger. God forgive me, but some secrets should stay buried." The journal triggered an extensive search of Dorothea's apartment building. Behind a loose brick in the basement, investigators discovered a waterproof container holding a small notebook filled with strings of numbers, a code book that would have been priceless to foreign intelligence agencies during the Cold War. The FBI's involvement intensified, but by October 1955, the case hit a wall. Key witnesses began recanting their statements, evidence mysteriously disappeared from police storage, and the British agent, Clerk, was recalled to London without explanation. Make sure you're subscribed, because the theories we're about to explore about why this case remains unsolved will blow your mind. Modern cold case investigators have proposed several theories. 1. Dorothea was targeted by foreign agents seeking to recover wartime intelligence. 2. She was involved in an ongoing intelligence operation that went wrong. 3. The deaths were part of a larger cleanup operation targeting former code breakers. 4. She discovered something in those wartime codes that made her a liability. In 2015, a retired FBI agent named William Hayes came forward with a startling claim. He suggested that Dorothea's death was linked to Operation Windfall, a classified program monitoring Soviet attempts to recover wartime intelligence assets. However, before he could provide documentation supporting his claims, Hayes suffered a fatal heart attack. The toxicology report from Hayes's death revealed traces of an unidentified compound, similar to the one found in Dorothea's system 60 years earlier. So what really happened to Dorothea Irwin? The case remains officially unsolved, but its implications reach far beyond a simple homicide. It raises questions about the long shadow of wartime intelligence operations, the price of keeping secrets, and the lengths some will go to protect them. The truth about Dorothea Irwin's death may be locked away in classified files or lost to history. But one thing is certain: her story reminds us that sometimes the most dangerous secrets are the ones that refuse to stay buried. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into one of Philadelphia's most baffling cold cases. If you enjoyed this investigation, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think happened to Dorothea Irwin? Sometimes the best detective work comes from our amazing true crime community. Remember, every unsolved case is a story waiting to be told, a mystery waiting to be unraveled. Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and keep searching for the truth.